Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can't.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
Let's guess it, guys. What do you guys think it is?
Oh gosh.
Over
Okay.
20, under 20. Place your bets.
Place your bets, folks.
Technical difficulties. Now we're good. All right, there you go.
All right, guys. Welcome to YouTube today. We're going to be doing a pull day, so we're going to do some back, some biceps. I usually like to start these type of upper body workouts with a little bit of shoulder mobility movements. So we'll do kind of like some dead hanging on a bar, scapular pulls, a little bit of like increasing range of motion through here, a little bit of internal, external rotation, and just get the shoulders ready to start working. On these, I like to kind of like be here, you've got your shoulders down and retracted, and you're putting force with your arms towards one another and putting that tension through, and then basically allowing each side to get a little bit wider and wider each time. You know, one of the things with being able to, you know, externally rotate our humerus out this far is going to just allow us better movement pattern and mobility through our exercises, and then we'll go, you know, down and under it. One of the poses in classic physique is our abdominals and thigh pose, and in that pose, you know, you bring your arms up high like this, and so that's one area in the range of motion where it's beneficial. Also doing like tricep overhead movements, it helps to have this additional mobility. And with this, you know, it's making sure that like our arms aren't out wide like this, that we do have our elbows in. And then as we're coming down, that we're keeping our scapula basically down far and retracted. So dead hanging, I'd almost recommend doing dead hangs like daily. You know, maybe you start with holding it for 10 seconds and build up, you know, to the point where, you know, you can just hang there for a minute or so, and do maybe 2-3 rounds of that per day. And then while also hanging, doing scapular pulls would also be good to increase your ability to retract your scapula with your whole body weight. But I would say that I've noticed that from doing these, I started doing them pretty regularly about 3 years ago, and I would say that I've noticed personally a lot of additional mobility in my shoulders and better range of motion, and my ability to perform exercises has become better. And then with that, you know, you're working in a larger range of motion, you're working the muscle in its entirety really, and not under just these short partial ranges of motion. And so something that is definitely worth the time doing. This is what we're going to start with. If your guys' gym has these mag bars, I'd go ahead and use them. They're super sweet. You've got like a more neutral, comfortable grip on your pull, and I think it just kind of enhances the exercise. When you get seated in here, you know, you're going to want this low enough to where it's like it's putting pressure on your thighs so you're not bouncing around. Be seated fully into it. And on any pull down, you're going to want to have a little bit of thoracic extension so that as you pull through, you have the most amount of scapular retraction. As far as like, you know, whether you're pulling pretty down or whether you're kind of leaned back, that's kind of more so just preference. And so don't think of it as that there's a right and a wrong. You know, maybe one day you're kind of doing it a little more upright, and the next day you're doing it a little more leaned back. Just think, within those same muscles that are being worked, it's just a slightly different segment of the muscles being worked, and both are important. Our first set or two are kind of warm-up sets before we get into heavier working sets. So it's like not about going to failure, it's just kind of getting the movement down and priming the muscle for heavier loads. On each rep, when you're coming up, it's like we want a full extension coming up. We don't want to be like getting to here and almost like holding tension and pulling back down. We want the most amount of stretch through our lats up, and then we're going to retract our scapula and then pull through. Why we want to have our lats go all the way to the top is that our lats, our triceps, our hamstrings, these are muscles that have higher hypertrophy signaling under the lengthened state. So when our muscles are fully stretched out and we've got tension on them, there's more signaling for hypertrophy. So you always want to make sure that you've got a good stretch at your end range of motion on pretty much all exercises for that reason. Next exercise, we're going to be doing a cable pullover. This one, I use different apparatus depending on just how I'm feeling for the day, but today we're going to do a bent bar. So, one of the things with these is that, as you're stepped back, and you're coming up, you're always letting it come up as high as it'll pull you, right? And then you've always got like a neutral spine with your scapula down and retracted, and you're pulling through. And so with like a bar, we can obviously only pull to our legs, but if we put on, like 2 ropes or something, now we can pull through. And so, again, not really a right or a wrong, just kind of switch it up, do different things, but overall, good exercise. One thing to also notice is that based on like our back positioning, right, is going to change like where exactly tension, or the primary amount of tension, is placed through the muscle. So like on a pulley system, we've got the maximum tension when the pulley system is perpendicular to like our limbs. So like if we're here, right, it's like about right here is where we've got max tension. Now, if I was to be more standing up straight, now tension's going to get more difficult as I pull through this range of motion, right? But then there's not much up here. Versus if I come way down, now we've got a lot of tension up here, but then very little down here. And so, this is also an exercise where I sometimes do in like varying ranges of motion throughout one set. And so I might come back and do the first part of the set more upright, so that I've got a lot of tension as I pull through and contract. And then once that gets more fatigued, get lower and get lower and get lower. And so kind of a way to where you can work kind of the full strength curve of the muscle within one set, just by changing your body positioning throughout that set. Then a little bit lower. So one of the things to always make sure that on this, that your spine is staying neutral, so we're not ever coming over like this. One of the things that people often do on back exercises, that like as they're, let's say, pulling through, you first want to drop your scapula, shoulders down, and then pull through. What you'll see a lot of people do when weight gets too heavy is that they pull through like this, right? And that's mechanically easier to pull that weight in this direction, and so that's why you'll see it. But you always want to make sure that those shoulders go back and down, and then you pull through. And so that's better muscular engagement for the lats, and not working so much just like your rhomboids and honestly your arms. We're gonna do this Arsenal strength, chest supported T-bar row. I like it quite a lot. You'll be surprised at how heavy this freaking thing is. But we've got our different adjustments here for width. So again, not really a right or a wrong. If there's, on a certain day you're wanting to pull more narrow, you can do that. On another day you're wanting to pull medium or wide, you can do that. Just know you're kind of working different segments of the muscle. The one thing that you want to make sure that you do when you're up here pulling through is that you're basically staying pretty body constant through this pull, that you're not pulling up and then like arching your whole back up to pull through. So just kind of think like we're keeping our body pretty steady on this pad and we're just pulling through. As far as like pronating and supinating our wrists, I usually kind of maybe have them slightly pronated here and pull into like a little more of a neutral grip. Kind of preference on how your mechanics move and what's comfortable for you. But always also remember just that you're getting down to this end bottom range of motion and then pulling through. All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, so our last back exercise today, we're gonna do a bent over dumbbell row. You probably have done these before, seen people do them. One of the things we're gonna wanna make sure of is that as we're down here, our weights are just sitting here at our sides and then we're pulling up. You're gonna wanna make sure that you are lower and that you're not higher pulling up like this, but that you're lower pulling through. And so that'll be more actual like mid and lower back, and not so much just like your upper back movement. So all right, so back portion is done. We're gonna switch over to biceps. We're gonna do just like a standing bicep curl, and we're gonna rotate that with a hammer curl. So probably do like probably 3 working sets on each. And just do bicep curl, next set, hammer, and then rotate. And then probably after that, we'll go and do like a preacher curl. And that'll probably be good. Three different arm movements. Today we basically did them as like from our sides, like a neutral grip, and once we passed our hips, we supinated and curled up. I sometimes do them like that. I sometimes keep my arms supinated the entire time. Again, not really right or wrong, just a little bit different. And so, do either. But then on our hammer curls, we will stay neutral the entire time. And with hammer curls, one thing that you want to keep a notice of is like where our humerus is, where's our elbow. So you'll see that as you get heavier in weight, you're going to want to kind of have your arm back as you pull up, and that's going to make the weight basically easier to lift. So think to yourself, I'm going to put my arms a little bit in front of me and then pull, so that basically from this beginning point, we already have tension pulling on our brachioradialis and our brachialis. Versus if I'm back here, there's very little tension that a dumbbell is exerting on our arms back here. But if we're out front, we've got more. And then same with if we do these on a preacher curl, now we've got our arm all the way out here. So now we've got like mega tension through here. And so, all are good to do. But as far as, doing these with your elbows back, always try to remember, keep your arms a little bit more forward as you do it. And that'll help a lot with having tension placed on the muscle where you want it, because that's what we're really trying to build. And it's not necessarily just about like, hey, I'm freaking curling 50 pounds. It's like, nah, man, like put that weight out in front of you and do it. And you're gonna find that a lot less weight is gonna be pretty difficult. Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah. Well, you use the camera.
Okay. Oh,
Let's guess it, guys. What do you guys think it is?
Oh gosh.
Over
Okay.
20, under 20. Place your bets.
Place your bets, folks.
Is that under the tricep?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here.
There we go. That looks beautiful. Oh, look at that. Is that 19 and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure. All right, there you go, folks. 19 and a half. A little bit of pull. All right, guys. That's a wrap on today's workout, our pull day. If you guys love this video, like it, give me a comment. Let me know, what is your favorite back exercise? What is your favorite bicep exercise? Subscribe for more of this. Let me know what type of content you guys care to see more of. I'd like to cater to you. And also, you know, if you guys are curious about coaching, physique coaching, nutrition coaching, go ahead and shoot me an email. That's devin@athletobody.com. It'll also be in the bio. But for today, that's a wrap, man. So we'll see you.